I guess we're okay, recording started. Hello, friends. This is Stephanie, and I am back with more movie chatter. And I am here with my good friend John from the Plaidx2 channel, who I am just so grateful whenever he says yes to hang out with me, I'm always happy. It's always a good day. I love your channel. I love your content. I love that you are like losing yourself to vinyl. I'm so proud of that. My face lights up when you say that you have more vinyl. I'm like, there it is.
Yeah.
But what John and I have for you today is we decided to do a little different spin on the whole Criterion thing because we know it's been a crazy month, the month of July with the Criterion sale going on. So what John and I decided to do, rather than a haul or our picks for what you should buy, we decided to do our personal wish lists of movies we would like to see put into the Criterion collection. And we each chose 5, but who knows how long this could go. We could end up with 35 each by the time it's over. But before we jump into our picks, I want to give John a chance to introduce himself for anyone who doesn't know him. If you are not subscribed to him, what are you doing with your life? You need to go over and subscribe right away. But I am going to let John tell you all about himself and where you can find him.
Well, thank you, Stephanie. And thank you for inviting me. I'm always very thankful and glad when we get to have a conversation and chat film. And so thank you very much. I love your channel. And
what channel?
This is fun. I still watch your old content, so you can post new stuff or not. I'm still
when I had like the beehive hair.
New stuff or not, I'm still watching. Yeah. So I do appreciate it, and I always enjoy it and have a good time when we talk videos or movies. So yeah, I have a channel, and we joke that it's a channel primarily for all of our grandparents because I watch the same movies as our grandparents do. But no, movies, mostly movies, music, and books on the channel. And as you mentioned, it's increasingly becoming vinyl. And I have one haul video coming out that I only have one movie and the rest is music.
I love it.
Yeah. So that's my first love. Movies is what I focus on more, but music's my first love. And getting back into CDs, rebuilding that collection, and the vinyl is amazing. I'm loving. Yeah. So anyway, so I do blame you for the vinyl thing, and thank you at the exact same time. So yeah,
like me with the CDs. I blame you and I thank you.
It's so good. I love it. And my daughter she's getting into vinyl too, and CDs. For Christmas, we got her own little CD player. It's this little turquoise CD player.
Super cool.
She hangs out in her room like I did all through high school, listening to music. And so I love it. And she'll request. I feel like as a parent, I'm always second guessing. Am I doing a good job? Not doing a good job? Recently, she's requested Bob Marley, U2, Coldplay. I was like, I'm crushing it as a parent. She's asking for Marley.
Yeah, 3 Little Birds. Yeah. We talked about that.
If she's asking for Marley, I'm doing just fine.
You are a fantastic father, I'm sure. Crushing.
So thanks so much for having me on here, Stephanie.
Always. And you are Plaidx2 both on YouTube and on Instagram. Anywhere else?
Yes.
Okay. Are you still on TikTok?
No, I'm
pole dancing on TikTok now. I didn't know if I told you that.
You did not tell me that.
Yeah, so. I have no followers, okay. But no, I'm only kidding. But for anyone who does not follow John, if you want to make your life a better place and a happier place, I am going to link all of John's where you can find my John in the description box down below. So please go out and check out his channel, follow him on Instagram, and you won't be disappointed, I promise. He's a lot of fun, and you'll buy stuff if you watch him.
Oh, good.
But I'm going to have John start out first because he is the guest on the channel today. And what we're going to do is we're going to take turns. We're going to share our picks, and we're going to let you know a little bit why the film feels important to us or why it's meaningful to us, and also why we feel it's a good fit for the Criterion collection. And like I said, it's not like we've heard any rumors or that there's anything in our piles that we know for a fact that is coming to the collection, but we sure would like it to happen. So John, go ahead and share your first pick.
All right. So these will be, I'll do 2 honorable mentions.
Okay.
Or a couple honorable mentions. The first one is, I think a box set would be great. And it is an Ernest box set for,
nice.
Absolutely not.
I wouldn't be surprised though.
Well, Jim Varney,
Yeah, that would be funny though. That would
he's a
be something
legend.
that you would do. I love that.
I would love it. So anyway, here's an actual one. So here is when I was putting this together, and Stephanie and we were joking about it today about you derailing my work, and that absolutely happened. I spent probably 2 hours on nerd notes that I have here. So,
Yeah.
but anyway, I went to the Criterion website and I went to the actual mission statement, and it says that they're dedicated to publishing important classic and contemporary films. So I think these all line up in important classic contemporary. So the first one I have is from 2016, and it's Patterson.
Yes.
There we go. Find out. So I think aesthetically, this is perfect for the Criterion collection. I just think, yeah, I think it fits perfectly. For me, this film is subtle in every way. You've got Jim Jarmusch directing it. You've got Adam Driver. You've got Golshifty Farhani. I think that's how you pronounce her last name. And those two, the leads, I thought were absolutely perfect. I think the story is great. Everything is subtle. It's won multiple awards. If you care about Rotten Tomatoes, it is 96% on Rotten Tomatoes if you care about it. And I think it would fit stylistically perfectly with the Criterion. And I think because it's a fairly new film, you still have everyone who is available to do commentary stuff, interview stuff. So you could have conversations with director, cast. And so I think special feature wise, because we have all these people still alive and living, you could do a lot with it. And it's a film I don't hear a lot of people talk about, but when I do, whoever talks about it just goes on and on about how much they love the film. I found this at a Goodwill for $2, and I'd never heard about the film until I saw it at a Goodwill. So yeah, my first honorable mention would be Patterson.
Have you been to Patterson, New Jersey?
I have not.
Oh, now see, I've been to Patterson, and I can tell you that that film accurately captures the vibe of Patterson.
Really?
Very accurate.
That's phenomenal.
Yeah, it was really cool to watch that movie, living in New Jersey and having been to where, you know, Patterson, where what the movie's about, and they definitely did a really good job.
I thought it was just, I think every choice they made was the right choice. And
I do too.
And cinematography and dialogue, the acting choices, every choice was the right music. Everything was the right choice, and everything was subtle. There was no explosion. There was no. It was like music, and it was perfect. I think the whole film.
Yeah. It's a very, like you said, it's a very quiet, subtle film, but like it definitely hit home, and it definitely hit the mark with the storytelling.
Yeah.
Through the cinematography, organizing the timeline of the movie, everything, just every little thing that happened. Yeah. And, you know, not every great movie has to be a barn burner to be awesome.
Right.
And that is a movie that it knows what it wants to be, and it knows what it is, and it hits the mark every time. Yeah. So I think that's a really awesome pick. And I think it's a great movie to just sit back and take in. And you just kind of it puts me in a very just breathe and go with it mood. And you just watch day-to-day life, and you watch people trying to maybe pursue a dream and maybe be okay with day-to-day, or a little bit of both.
Yeah. And I think every single one of us can relate to that.
Yeah. It's very relatable.
Yeah, most films, and I love being entertained in films and seeing the absurd and fantasy, all that stuff. But I love every once in a while when a film comes across and you're like, I know exactly what that is.
Yep.
To go and do my job every day.
Yep.
And at the same time, in the back of my head, go, wouldn't it be so cool? I think she wants to be a country music singer.
Yep.
Wouldn't it be so cool if I could do this? This is a dream. But I still do my day-to-day. You feed the dog, you water the plants, you fix the meal. So I just think it's a really beautiful, well-done film that
I agree
everyone can relate to.
Yeah, I like your. It was an interesting thing that you brought up about the so many people that are involved with the film being alive, and that they could get so much extra content.
Yeah,
that they're still around.
Yeah,
that's
and it's
great.
Not an older film, so you're talking what, 6 years ago.
Yeah,
so it's still pretty fresh, and so there's so much great conversation you can have in supplement wise, I think.
Absolutely. I think it's a great pick.
And even what you pointed out, like even go to Patterson, New Jersey, like even do something there, like see why the aesthetics of that place, how it
Yep.
bled into the film. I think there's so much you could do.
Yeah, I agree. So do you want to do your next one, or do you want me to do one? How do you want to do it?
I have one more honorable mention, and then I have got 5 picks. So whatever flows best with.
Okay, so why don't you do your honorable mentions? I'll do
Okay.
mine, and then we'll go back and forth with the films.
Awesome.
If that works.
Perfect. So my next one is one that I've talked about multiple times on my channel because I love it. And it doesn't even have a Blu-ray release yet, and so it deserves it. It's from 1999, and it's Bringing Out the Dead.
I don't. Who's in that again?
It's a Scorsese film, which is
Yes.
blowing my mind that it doesn't have
Yes.
a Blu-ray release.
Yes.
So Nick Cage is in it. Who else?
That's right, Nick Cage.
Patricia Arquette, John Goodman, Ving Rhames. Screenplay by Paul Schrader.
Nice.
This is a deeply affecting film. Like, I'm so moved. Like, if you relate to being burned out, being just pushed to the limit,
Yep.
then you can relate to this. If your job is high stress job or life is high stress. And Nick Cage, I know Nick Cage is kind of polarizing. He's either has the most brilliant film ever, or it's a Dollar Tree title. This is my all-time favorite film of his for his acting, and the whole cast. Patricia Arquette is phenomenal. And I think Cage, he's the classic Cage, just like unleashed in the moments where he's supposed to be. And then he's super contemplative and inside on the moments when he's supposed to be.
Right.
Scorsese did this film. It was deeply meaningful to him. It personally touched him to communicate what it's like to be an EMT and to go through what it is to go through. So I think at the least it deserves a Blu-ray release, but I think it's a Scorsese film. You got Paul Schrader screenplay. You've got a great cast. If people care, it's a 72 on Rotten Tomatoes. Similar to Patterson, you've got everybody alive. And the film's 23 years old now, but they can all still talk about it. There's so much you could do supplement-wise, interviews on it. Talk to Scorsese about why this was a personal film for him in unpacking the life of an EMT and the stress of an EMT. There's a ton you could do with it. So I think it is well deserves it. Well deserves it.
Okay.
I'm waiting for at least
I like it.
So.
I like it. Yeah, give us a Blu-ray at least.
So maybe. Ernest, Nick Cage, and
Ernest, Nick Cage. Okay, so I have 3, and I picked 3 distinctly different genres, and these are for cool. My these very well could have made my 5 pick, but I put them in the especially this first one. This was tough for me to just make it a honorable mention, and I say just don't take it. Just this belongs in the top 5, but it didn't quite make it. It's also a Martin Scorsese film.
All right.
And I think it is his most underappreciated film, and it is Kundun. Have you seen it?
I've not seen it.
It is an amazing and beautiful movie, and it is about how, I hate this camera, how they found the 14th Dalai Lama.
Oh, wow.
And they believe that when the current Dalai Lama dies, that a new one, and he's reincarnated in a new child's body, a baby. So they go around and they look for, this shows how they found the current Dalai Lama and how they feel that they knew it was the Dalai Lama, even at a young age. I think he was maybe 2 or 3 years old. And it's a very long movie. It's 134 minutes. It's in color. It's from 1997. It is absolutely beautiful. It shows the life of the Dalai Lama, how they raised him, how they brought him up, how they did his teachings. And it also shows how he ended up in the position he is in today, where he is in exile in Nepal.
Okay.
Because of the conflict with the Chinese government trying to overthrow Tibet and take Tibet back as part of China. So it is a very moving movie. And if you want to learn a little bit about the Dalai Lama, this is a great way to do it. And a really good companion piece for this would be 7 Years in Tibet with Brad Pitt.
Oh,
yeah. Based on a true story of a hiker who formed a lifelong friendship with the Dalai Lama.
Oh, wow.
So that would be a really great companion piece to this. And I love anything that has to do with the Dalai Lama, Buddhism, the whole history of Tibet, all that stuff. So I think Martin Scorsese is well represented in the Criterion Collection.
Right.
And I think that this is one that, even though it's about, reincarnation and things that people may, take it or leave it, it's also rooted in reality. It's you see a little boy growing up. He's just in an unconventional setting. So I think it's a movie that's very accessible and it's not hard to follow. It's very easy to follow, even if you're new to like Buddhism or any of their theology.
Yeah.
It's very easy to follow, and you could get some great commentary, like you said, some great extras about filming locations and input from Martin Scorsese. I'd love to see a behind the scenes documentary. So this is one of my favorite films from him.
Cool.
And I just think it's one that's so underappreciated. You never hear anybody talk about it.
No.
And it's beautiful. Just please watch it, you guys. You'll love it.
I wrote it down. I put it down on my phone. So when we're done here, I'm going to watch this.
If it's and 7 years in Tibet with it.
Yes.
Now, this one I picked because I'll tell you why, but I also picked this for you, John. And it should come as no surprise that I had to add something horror to the collection. The Criterion Collection doesn't have a ton of horror, but I think the horror that they have chosen, it's very impactful, very influential. And what is more influential than the original John Carpenter's Halloween? And again, this is Halloween. It's iconic, and it brought about so much to the horror community. Other franchises, there are so many spin-offs and so many films that worked off of that. And even the Halloween films in the franchise that tried to do what the original did couldn't do it. It was like they captured lightning. And they did it on a very, very small budget, super small budget. And it's just, there's a lot of interesting behind the scenes stuff. And they could also even add to that because Jamie Lee Curtis is very much involved with the Halloween franchise now as a producer. So I'm sure she could lend herself to really insightful commentary because I've seen some behind the scenes stuff with her, and she's brilliant. And I would love to see Halloween because I think it's so influential in the horror genre. And the horror genre and horror collectors really do drive the collector market because horror collectors will collect anything you put out for us.
Yep.
So I think that would be a really nice addition to the collection. And because of the influence, I think it would fit.
Yeah.
And then this last one, this is a movie that I brought up. I believe I brought it up in the 5 when I did the 5 with you, but it's an A24 movie, and it is Amy, the documentary about Amy Winehouse. And Criterion does have quite a few documentaries in their collection, so that's why I felt it was safe to pick a documentary. This is a more modern one. It's from 2015. It's an A24 film, but I think that it's an important film because it shows us how we treat celebrities and why it is so important for us to remember that they are human beings first. And if anything shows us a story about that, it's hers. Because when she was crashing and burning before us, all we wanted was a tabloid story.
Yeah.
And I say we, like society, and the people chasing after, the paparazzi chasing after her when somebody should have been taking her and putting her in I want to go to rehab.
Right. Yeah.
But I just think that this was an amazing movie, and they have a lot of it is clips from her childhood, like home movies from her childhood when she was just this innocent, wide-eyed girl who wanted to sing.
Yeah.
And she was a gift and a treasure, and her voice is a gift. And it's just a shame that we lost her so young because somebody needed to save her. And I think that it would fit well with the documentaries that they have already chosen for the collection. I think it would be a positive addition to the collection. Yeah. So those are my honorable mentions.
Well, I think, as you pointed out about horror, while I'm not a huge horror fan, I watched Halloween for the first time last year. And what was crazy was while watching it, it was so obvious instantly that there is a reason why this is a classic and so
Yes.
influential. So even
Yes.
non-horror people watching that film see how influential and
Yep.
significant it is, and why it is such a culturally significant film.
Yeah.
And Amy, I just watched a film the other night, and one of the trailers was the trailer for that. And even in that, I was getting teary. Like when you see that progression from her childhood. Yeah, I think those are all great picks.
Yeah.
Gundam I hadn't seen, and so I'll be watching at least a trailer on that one later.
It's amazing. I mean, and like I said, any one of those could have made my top 5, but I think with the top 5, I tried to lean more towards like the main crux of what Criterion goes for.
Sure.
So those were like my outlier picks. That everyone can't be Raging Bull. Sorry, guys.
I think it was funny. I only have, I think most people would think picks that I would have for wish list would all be black and white. I only have, I don't. I only have one or two here, and I did pick some outliers that I think are a stretch for the label, but I think could fit. So
okay,
yeah. So
let me see this. Okay, yeah, I was kind of expecting that your pile would be fully black and white.
no,
I know that's where your passion is.
I mean, I could just bring like 5 Gene Arthur films and say these 5
These,
should be in,
and then be done. Just say you go.
Yeah, your turn.
Or you and I could just sit here and complain that the Munsters is in color. I mean, we could do that for a half hour.
You watched the trailer on that? I know you don't come over to watch trailers.
No, I watched that trailer and I'm just like, I'm not saying anything. I'm just going to watch it and shut up. I'm just mad it's not in black and white.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I still bought a sweatshirt. What? No. I did. Because I'm like, if nothing else, the picture's cool.
That's true. That's true.
So I got a black sweatshirt. So I'm happy with that. But if you want to go ahead and share your first pick,
all right,
then you can let us know where you're going with that.
All right. So for my first pick, I don't have a physical copy of it. And so
I will insert the poster art up here. Right there.
It is A King in New York from 1957.
Yes.
And it's a Chaplin film, and it's a British comedy, and it was done overseas because he was in exile from the United States.
Okay.
And because of the film has to do, it's kind of a critique, it's a satirical film on aspects of American culture and American politics. He was accused of being a communist sympathizer, so he was in exile. So the film came out in 57, but it never showed in the United States until 1972, which is wild. And so the Criterion already has 8 Chaplin films. I have all of those. I'm a massive fan of his. It's directed by him. It stars him. It is written by him. So it's all Chaplin, like I love. Again, if you care, Rotten Tomatoes has him at 80% for that film. And for me, supplement-wise, I think it'd be great because it was the last film he starred in. So I think it's culturally important because he was, I think, a genius.
Yeah.
And so I think it's culturally important to have his final starring role, to have it get that Criterion treatment. And I think it'd be great for the supplements to unpack for us who live, so many decades later. Why was he in exile? Why did that matter? Why was it not allowed to be shown in the United States for 20 years later? And unpack all of that, because now you've got, I mean, it was shown in the US, what is it now, 50 years ago, it was shown in the United States. So we've got 50 years to look in retrospect and say, was that okay? Was that the right decision? And so there's a lot of, I think, conversation you could have on the exile, why it wasn't shown here, why it's significant, this being the end cap to his starring roles in film. I think there's just a lot you could do with supplements, and I'm selfish, and I'd love a 9th Criterion film for Chaplin. I can't. It says you're muted on my screen.
It muted it. Can you hear me now? Okay. Yeah. It mutes itself. It's like a possessed mic. I was going to say, he's so well represented in the collection already. Why not? I mean, and especially, the controversy surrounding, like, why would you not release this film? Why could we not see it? And, it's definitely, it would be packed with special features. And why not have a 9th film?
Hey, absolutely.
Yeah, you have 8 through 9. Do everything. I
There
like
you
that
go.
pick. That's a good one.
Yeah.
And I know you're a huge fan.
I genuinely, I know that brilliant and genius gets thrown around. I genuinely think he's a genius.
Yeah.
And I've read a couple of books on him. There's a ton of complicated things you got to go through, and
Mm-hmm.
he was polarizing. There's all of that. But on his art, I think he was a genius, what he did. And
Yeah.
he was so far ahead of his time. How he would mix drama, comedy, romance, and how it was orchestrated. And it was just, he's brilliant. So,
Yeah. I agree.
yeah.
I agree. I've watched quite a few films, and I haven't read as much. I haven't read like you have, so I'm not as up on it. But I know what I've seen. I've been blown away by. So
Yeah, he's great.
I'm looking forward to more. A great pick.
So that's number
Now,
5.
okay. Now, I guess mine aren't in any order, but so whatever. This is my first pick, and I just realized it's another documentary. It's probably one of my favorite films of all time, Baraka.
Oh, yeah.
It is a beautiful film, and this was originally shot on 8K and downscaled to go on DVD and Blu-ray, and it looks phenomenal. So with Criterion doing 4K now,
Mm-hmm.
they've got an 8K transfer to work with.
That's true.
So I couldn't even imagine. And basically, this is a word that translates to the thread that weaves life together. And you go through, I believe it was shot in over 26 countries, but they're very creative. There's no dialogue. It's just set to very beautiful music that fits each scene. And you don't always know where you are in the world. It'll tell you the places they visited, but you don't know like which place is which unless you're familiar with that area. But they'll show you the very serene to the very chaotic to how we destroy our planet to how we save things and the very rich and the very poor. They'll show you the polarities of life. They'll show you the mundane. They'll show you different customs. I mean, you see everything. And if this film doesn't want to make you travel, I don't know what will. I'm not sure that any of us want to travel right now, but this film made me want to see the world. And he also, it's a film by Ron. I think his name is pronounced Frick, Fricke. But this is his film, and he actually is already in the collection for this Qatsi trilogy.
Okay.
He was the photography producer on this trilogy. And he uses some really unique camera styles like time lapses and things like that. And he does some really cool imagery. Like you can't tell what's the sky and what's the ground. Like it's pretty cool. He does some pretty cool like camera tricks, and he's a little ahead of his time with this. And a lot of what you see in this movie and in the trilogy is now showing up in other films.
Okay.
So he's a pretty influential guy, and I think it would be great since he's already in the collection to see his first, in his individual movie in the collection as well. And I would love to see the special features because the special features are a little limited. Pretty much, yeah. It's the restoration. They talk about the restoration on this. That's about it. So I would love to hear from him and what it was like to travel around the world and to all those countries and to like, how do you get these people who can't speak what you're speaking to allow you to come in and see their private ceremonies and things like that. You see things that you just would never, ever, ever have the chance to see. And it's a beautiful movie. It is, like I said, it goes from the serene to the chaotic, and I never get tired of watching it. And I think I told you before, this is the one soundtrack that is always in my CD player. Always, always, always. So I really think that the collection is calling for it. And like I said, he's already in the collection, but I'd love to see his own personal film be put in there. And I think the special features could be just loaded.
Cool.
And for the photography, the photography buffs, this is just, I mean, it's a masterclass in photography. So Baraka would be my first pick. No surprise there.
And you're right, with Criterion getting into 4K.
Yeah. Perfect. I mean, they have an 8K transfer sitting there that nobody's doing anything with.
Yeah.
It hasn't been released on 4K. It probably never will be. It's a film by MPI. I mean, unless somebody else picked up the rights to it.
Yeah.
You know, I don't think MPI has put out any 4Ks that I know of.
Okay.
But like if somebody else picked up the rights to it, then like Criterion would be perfect for that.
Absolutely.
So that was my first
Nice.
one.
All right. So my next one is 2004. And I've talked about this one on my channel. And I think, again, going off their mission statement of culturally important, I actually put up The Passion of the Christ. So this one, I did a video on films that made me cry. This one annihilated me. I went when nobody was going to be in the theater, and it was the most even like physical response I had to a film. See, obviously you got Gibson directing the film. I think another reason why it's significant is it's done in Hebrew, Latin, and Aramaic, which is almost a dead language. So it was reconstructed in Aramaic, so that would be significant. How it did box office wise, so it was $30 million to do the film, and it ended up bringing in like $613 million.
Wow.
So culturally, it exploded. There was clearly a global response to the film. 3 Academy Award nominations. And I do think Gibson obviously fell out of graces a few years ago. I think with him still alive, you could have the opportunity to have some conversation on it. It was also a controversial film, which I know Criterion doesn't steer away from those. They're fine releasing. And so the criticisms were, it was potentially, some people saw it as an anti-Semitic film, which even some people in the atheist community said, I don't see that. So there was clearly some pushback there. And then also violence. Some people said it was like almost like it was just over the top violence. I think Entertainment Tonight or some magazine said it was the most ridiculously violent film of all time. And
because crucifixion is not violent.
Well, what's crazy is, so I've read on Roman culture in that time, and in my opinion, this is a PG-13 version of what happened in Roman culture at that time. If you want to show an accurately depicted version of what went on, it'd be an NC-17 film. It was horrific. This is a tame version. So I think what would be really neat is to have in the supplements rabbis, Catholic priests, people of all different faiths have a conversation. One of the things I read about this film is that it was actually a well-received film in the Muslim community. And so I kind of like what you said about Kundun, about theology, have a well-rounded table of people of all different faith traditions. Talk about it and talk about the controversies and historians, and they could be agnostic, atheist, whatever. But have a round table to unpack some of that now that we're 18 years removed from when it came out. Because it clearly blew up culturally on a global scale. And I think you could have some really neat conversations about those controversies. And if it was well-rounded of people of faith, people of no faith, people of various kinds of faith, I think you could have some really neat conversations about it.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's a great pick. And like you said, it's definitely a tame version of the reality of what happened. And I was physically moved by that. That was a one watch for me. I couldn't watch it again.
No, my wife still hasn't seen it. And she's still like, I don't think I'm ready to see this yet. I've seen it twice. One was almost by myself in the theater, and the other one was by myself at home. And so I've seen it twice in 18 years, and I'm not ready to see it again.
Yeah. I think everyone should see it once if they are up to it. But it's brutal.
Oh, it's horrible. Absolutely horrible.
Horrible and amazing at the same time.
It
would be amazing. And like, I like your idea of like a roundtable discussion of people of different faiths and their perceptions.
Because Gibson comes from a Catholic tradition. I don't come from a Catholic tradition. But I would love to see a rabbi and someone from the Catholic tradition have a conversation there. And historians who, I don't care if they're faith-based people or not, I would just love to see that conversation, to have some heavy hitters who understand history of that time unpack that film. I think it'd be interesting to see. But,
I think that's great. Great pick.
But we'll see.
So now my second pick, I have a physical copy, but as I told John, I'll disclose to everyone, I'm in the middle of taking apart. My movie room is torn apart, and my movies are in boxes and in piles because we're building shelves, and I got rid of things. We're moving things around, and I know people have been requesting a room tour, and unless you want to look at piles of boxes, you're not going to get one for a little bit. But this is one of my very favorite Elizabeth Taylor movies. And I believe it's from 1960, but it stars Elizabeth Taylor and Richard Burton in Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf. And I could not find my copy, so I will put the poster art over here, just like I'm going to do for one of yours. And I just think it is a frantically paced movie. Have you seen it?
No.
They play a couple, they work at a college, and they invite this young couple over for an evening of like drinks and hors d'oeuvres. And Liz Taylor and Richard Burton, they were married at the time when they did this movie, and they notoriously had this very chaotic, explosive relationship in real life. And the evening takes a turn at some point when this young couple comes over to kind of hang out with them, just have a casual night, and it turns into this huge blowout of a fight, like where they're ending up in the cars and they're driving and they're leaving people on the side of the road and they're in a bar and they're fighting and then they're back home, and like that you could see the terror on the young couple's face, like, what are we doing here? Like, just imagine going over, being invited to someone's house. I think he's like the dean at the college, and he invites them over to get to know them. And it just turns like all hell breaks loose. And the fights that go on are so visceral and so just, they just go for the jugular in every single line. Like, there's not a kind word between them after a certain point because they're drunk and they're angry.
Mm-hmm.
And the fighting, it gave me anxiety to watch it. But it is so brilliantly done and so believable and so real. It just makes such an impact on you. And I think that it's a movie that everyone should see.
Cool.
Because it makes you wonder, like, they were known for, you could hear them, they would be on set, and like, not in this particular movie, but in other instances in their relationship, like you could hear them fighting outside their trailer.
Wow.
And then in this movie, they're kind of reenacting that whole thing. And you could just imagine what their fights must have been like, because they're like toe to toe and neither one of them's backing down. So it's a really, really cool movie. And like I said, it goes at like a manic pace, never lets up. Once they hit the gas, it never lets up. But really, really well done. And the acting from them, from Liz Taylor and Richard Burton, is just second to none. And I had to add it. It's a classic.
Yeah.
A lot of people really like it. And I think that it'll be really interesting to see maybe what film historians think about it, or what they think the influence of the film was, anything that they think came about in the genre from based on this film, because I know that it influenced a lot of other films. And I'd like to hear more about Liz Taylor and Richard Burton, like maybe their relationship and the dynamics of their, like a documentary behind the scenes type of thing.
Yeah.
And what it was like to work with them. I think that would be fantastic if you could find anybody who's still around from the movie. I think it'd be pretty cool. But that had to be it had to make my list somewhere, because that's one I go back. I go back to it a lot, and you'll like it. It's black and white.
Yeah, there you go.
But it's so intense. Pick. The fights are insane. It's insane. And it kind of reminded me of my grandparents.
Oh, really?
Well, my grandparents would fight like that. Like, she'd be with the butcher knife going across the backyard after him. It was wild. So maybe it's just my family tree that made me pick it. But, Liz Taylor and Richard Burton going at it.
Yeah.
You can't beat it.
That's awesome. That's a good pick for the Criterion collection.
Yeah, I think, and I don't, does she have any movies in the Criterion collection, Liz Taylor?
Nothing comes to mind.
I don't know of anything. I don't know every movie that's in the collection. And there's laser discs and DVDs and all kinds of things. But if anybody knows if Liz Taylor has if she's represented in the collection, let us know in the comments, because I can't think of anything off the top of my head. And I'd love to see her in there. Mm-hmm. She's such an iconic piece of American film history. I'd love to see her in the collection.
Yep.
So that's my pick number 2.
It's a great pick.
Cool.
All right, my next pick. I'm going to give you some stats first, because I think this pick could be dismissed as quickly as my joke Ernest pick.
Really?
Yeah, and I don't think it should be. So this film is United States Library of Congress selected it for preservation in the National Film Registry, so it's significant culturally. Um, let me see here. It received 6 Academy Award nominations. It had. Let me see here. 8 of them. It won 2, had 6 other nominations. It surpassed $1 billion. It's a 94 on Rotten Tomatoes. And
wow.
If I'll name some of the cast members, it'll give it away eventually. But if you said there's a film that had included Morgan Freeman, Michael Caine, Gary Oldman, Christian Bale, Heath Ledger, you'd be like, that's an unbelievable cast. And so I would say The Dark Knight would be a film that deserves it. I don't own all the Marvel movies. I'm not a big superhero movie.
Right.
I think this is the gold standard of superhero films. Is the first superhero film ever to receive an Oscar win. You got Chris Nolan. You have an unbelievable cast of amazing characters. How it was filmed, and it wasn't silly. There was nothing silly about it.
I agree.
When Heath Ledger was on the screen, I watched it 3 times in IMAX. I've never gone to see a movie twice, the same movie twice in theater. I went 3 times to IMAX.
Wow.
And every time Ledger was not on the screen, I wanted him on the screen. I think what he did was absolutely brilliant. And so I think this would be perfect for the collection because it's culturally important. We'd never seen this before.
Right.
And Batman Begins was also, it took what the other Batman films did and just took it to a whole new level. But this ruined the trilogy for me. I don't own the first and third because if I'm going to watch a Batman film, I don't know what the point is in watching the first or third because I think this one is just so stinking good that I would watch the other ones. I used to own them. I would watch them going, I'd rather watch Heath on screen. And so I think this would be great because it's culturally important, all of the stats I gave. But you still can talk to Nolan, you can talk to Bale, you can talk to Morgan, Michael Caine, obviously all those guys. And then I think what we haven't been given, and maybe we haven't been given it because there's no such thing, but if there is more content of Heath, screen tests, deleted scenes with him in it, I think there'd be a huge desire to see it because he was so brilliant in this role. So
he was brilliant altogether. I just got a documentary called I Am Heath Ledger.
Yeah, it's very good, isn't it?
I haven't seen it yet.
Okay.
I just got it recently and I haven't seen it yet, but I agree. He's one of those, you could just watch him all day long.
Absolutely.
Did you see him in Candy?
I did see Candy. It's been a long, long time, but
that was another one that was just so he's a home run in everything.
Everything he did. And so I'm not a huge superhero guy, but I think that one was different than everything else.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. But with knowing Criterion, I could see them releasing a Christopher Nolan box set of like what they did when they did the Blu-ray, like different like Prestige and the trilogy that like I could see a Christopher Nolan box set.
Yeah,
which I think that would be a huge seller. I think it would sell out. Like it would be absolutely insane. Yeah.
I never buy their box sets because they're just so pricey.
They're crazy. Yeah. But yeah, I could see a Christopher Nolan box set coming out of that.
That's a great idea.
I think for people like us, I would be very happy with that as a standalone. But I also think there's a huge audience for a Christopher Nolan set.
Yeah.
Not just the trilogy, but like a 5 to 7 his films, whatever, Yeah. I think there's a huge base for that. And I think he's very influential.
I do too.
So I think he's fantastic. And I agree. That's my favorite.
Yeah.
That one's my favorite.
There you go. It's the only superhero film I'll mention.
There you go. Now my next one, I believe I already hinted at this one to you when we talked because you and I are both big fans of Sidney Poitier.
Oh yeah.
And this is one of my very favorite Sidney Poitier films. It is from 1967, and it's actually in color. It's 105 minutes. This is the now defunct Twilight Time version of To Sir with Love. Have you seen this one?
No, I haven't.
He plays he is a teacher, and he goes over to teach in a school where the kids are he's in, I believe it's in England. The school's in England. And he goes over there, and the kids are just out of control. They're high school age kids, and they're completely out of control. And what he tries to teach them, he decides that life lessons and lessons about how to live and how to be a better person and how to be a gentleman and how to treat yourself with respect when you're a woman or a man. He thinks that those lessons are going to carry them further than just teaching them how to read and write.
Hmm.
So he brings all that to them, and they've never had that before. And he's teaching them how to be respectful of other people and how to respect themselves and each other, and to behave like people are supposed to behave. And he is a very, very polite, very polished gentleman.
Yes.
And he wants these kids to just learn to respect themselves because it will take them far in life. And these are kids that have probably never had anyone tell them that they are worthy of respect. And he made such an impact, and it is such an amazing, beautiful film. And of course, you have the To Sir With Love theme song that I can't get out of my head. I'm hearing it right now. And it's just a really wonderful film. And it's a tough and gritty film that kind of ends up getting you in the feels. Like it starts out as this real tough, gritty film, and then it's all of a sudden you're just like, okay, you could be welling up at this one. But this Blu-ray transfer is okay, but I think Criterion could do a much better job with it. They could probably even bump it up to 4K if they wanted to, but because it's not a bad transfer. But with the Twilight time being gone, you're going to pay a big price to get this now. And I don't even know if there's another Blu-ray out there of it. But I could even see, if Criterion didn't pick it up, Kino, because they're doing a lot of Sidney Poitier films too. But today we're talking about Criterion. So I would love to see more Sidney Poitier in Criterion. And I think as far as being a classic, I think this definitely fits the profile and very influential. And he's a one in a million. I love everything he does. So To Sir With Love, one of my favorites from him. And I would love to see that in the collection.
Buck and the Preacher coming out this month, his film.
Yes, I have it pre-ordered.
Do you really?
Yes. I've got it. Boom.
It'd be awesome to see more of his films in that collection. It'd be so good.
Yeah. He's
such a gentleman and a kind. He's such a great,
You have to watch To Sir With Love. You will love him in it. He's just so good. You fall in love with him. I fell in love with him. You can fall in love with him. If I can fall in love with him, anyone can. I was so in awe of his character.
That's cool.
Because he demanded that respect without being heavy-handed. And that is such a fine line for an actor or a person to walk.
Sure.
Like, you're demanding that respect. And even from the audience, every time he's on film, you're focused. Every time he's in the frame, you're focused on him. And he just has that presence about him that you just feel like you're in the company of greatness when you see him. And these kids in this school who really didn't care, they weren't even listening to him. They were just, by the end, they were just like, Sir is here. We have to pay attention. And they had so much love for him. And it's a beautiful transition to follow. And I kind of wish maybe we had a little more of that today, because I think for this time, 1967, I think that we were a little kinder and a little more thoughtful to each other. And I think we could use more of that today. And even if we're teaching young people, treat yourself the way you think you should be treated. Demand that you get respect from people. Say please, say thank you. And expect people to hold the door or hold doors for people. And I think that a lot of that has gone by the wayside. And I think it would be really refreshing to it's refreshing for me to take a step back to a quieter time. And I think that movie has a lot of nostalgia for me because I grew up around that time without putting my date on my headstone. But Yeah, I mean, that was from that point on was my childhood, and that's how I learned.
Hmm.
So I think for me, I think I would love to see more people see what it was like.
Yeah.
But I think they could just go nuts with the special features.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, you
That's a great
can't.
pick.
Yeah, so you got to watch it.
It's on my list.
Oh, everything. I know. We're both keeping the list. So what's next on your list, my friend?
1939. I think this is literally right down the middle. This is what Criterion does the best, and so I think this is a no-brainer. Mr. Smith Goes to Washington.
Yes.
So 1939, it actually again was a controversial film when it came out because it was making note of political corruption in the United States. And so it was a little controversial, but it was a massive hit. You got Frank Capra directing, you got James Stewart, you got Jean Arthur. Jean only has 2 films in the collection, so I think we need to bump that up a little bit. Just
We
my
do.
personal opinion. It was nominated for 11 Academy Awards, which is enormous. It became the second highest grossing film in 1939 and the third highest grossing film of the entire decade of the 30s, behind Only Gone with the Wind and Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs.
Wow.
It has 96% on Rotten Tomatoes, selected by Library of Congress in their first 25 films ever selected. It ranks number 29 on the American Film Institute Greatest American Films of All Time.
Wow.
This should be a no-brainer. This should be in the collection.
That is a no-brainer.
Hands down, should be in the collection. So I think it could be a great film because of how significant it obviously is in our culture. With the commentary on political corruption, you could have a great supplements on that, what was going on politically at that time, and look at it through the lens of what's going on politically now. I think you could look at the impact it made on Gene, Jimmy, and Frank's careers doing a film that was controversial in that moment. But Jimmy Stewart blew up after this. Like, Gene was super strong, her career. Frank Capra obviously is a legend. So I think there's a lot supplement-wise you could do with this. And again, it's just this is actually, and it's to me personally, this is the first. I bought this because of Jimmy, and it was the first film I saw with Gene. And minutes into the film, I couldn't care less about Jimmy. I was like, Jean is the greatest actress. Why do I not know her? Yeah. And so after that, I bought everything. I have just about everything that ever has been released on her career. And so I think this is a standout film for her, for me personally to watch, but I just think she's brilliant. Jimmy Stewart is gold in everything he touches. And Frank Capra is a legend. So Criterion, it's a no-brainer.
It is a no-brainer. I think that's a fantastic pick. And again, I can't believe it's not in the collection.
Me too. I'm shocked it isn't.
Yeah.
It's Frank Capra, it's Jimmy, it's Gene, like everything.
Yeah.
29 in America.
And it's a great movie.
That's so good. Like, you're literally like, you're passionate during it. You're like, I want to fight against corruption. Things shouldn't be this way. It should be this way.
Right.
And it'd be a perfect time for it to get released, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's a fantastic pick.
So
well done. And when you said you had notes, you have copious notes. I'm impressed.
This is the deal, is when you ask me that kind of question, literally there's nothing I could focus on other than doing this
my God.
hours.
Really?
So, yeah. And there's nothing that I could shut that part of my brain off. So yeah, I had to nerd out on it. So,
well, you nerded out more than I did. I kind of fly by the seat of my pants, which, I do that pretty much anyway. But I definitely I nerd out in my head. I'm not good with the notes, because then I would sit there like now I was looking for something, and I'm like, okay, okay, all right, I got it. But I should take more notes. I need to take lessons from you.
Well, if I didn't have notes, I would forget everything about the film. I would hold this up and not know who was in it, and if I've seen it before. But if I have notes, it reminds me of everything. So,
well, I have my next pick, and you're gonna laugh, but I mean, I couldn't not pick this. It is one of my favorite films of all time. And I sent you a copy, and I don't know if you've watched it yet, but I did send you a copy, and it stars 2 of my favorite Hollywood icons, Joan Crawford and Betty Davis, in Whatever Happened to Baby Jane.
That's so good.
And this, it's just, I mean, come on. You have Joan Crawford and Betty Davis. And I don't want to give too much away because, like I said, I don't know. I don't think you've watched it yet.
Not yet.
No. Okay. It is bonkers, bizarre, crazy, scary, funny. It has everything. They're sisters. And there is so much competition between them because Betty Davis plays a character who was she was known as Baby Jane. And she was a child actress and a child prodigy, singing and dancing. And she was the daddy's little girl. And then she kind of fell by the wayside. And when her sister, Blanche, played by Joan Crawford, when she grew up to be an actual Hollywood actress, a successful actress. And so Betty Davis has just this vendetta out, or the character she plays, has this, Baby Jane has this vendetta for her sister, against her sister. And I'm not going to give more away, but this is the stuff of legends. There has been so much rumor and fighting, and even like a mini series was made out of this because the fact that they hated each other and they had to be in this movie together where they're playing two people that hate each other and actually want to kill each other. But they really did hate each other. I saw an interview with Betty Davis, and she insists that Joan Crawford is the reason she didn't get the Oscar for this because she said Joan was just stupid.
Wow.
It's an amazing, amazing Hollywood fight. It has so much history. This movie, it's the stuff of legends. It's a fantastic movie. You can't watch it just once. I watch it a couple times a year because it never gets old. And it's good. It's got really creepy moments, but it's not like it's terrifying.
Right.
And it was from, where is it from? I want to say, it says, what am I missing here? 1962. And it's in black and white, so you will like that.
Mm-hmm.
But I think you'll like the movie. And just, you see the chemistry between them, or the lack that, I mean, they do have chemistry. They worked well together, but you wonder how much did they really want to pick up that knife and put it through each other's, back?
Yeah.
But this is it's just the stuff of legends, and it's Hollywood legends. And like I said, there's so many rumors and like what's true, what's not true, and there's got to be people that they can talk to, film historians, or maybe people that have access to interviews or whatever, because I know there's interviews out there.
Yeah,
I've seen bits and pieces of them, but I would love to see more. And they could go nuts with the special features. And I think Joan Crawford only has Mildred Pierce in the collection. I don't think there's any other Joan Crawford movies in there. And Betty Davis just got a few put in.
Yeah,
she had like Holiday and All About Eve.
Yeah, Now Voyager's in there.
Now Voyager. Yeah, she had a couple put in there, but Joan only has the one. So it would be interesting to see one with both of them in it. And I would love to see this come to Criterion.
I would love to see the artwork they'd come up with for the cover of that.
Oh,
that'd be crazy.
I can think of it. I've already got it.
Oh, good.
Baby Jane Hudson was who she was. Betty Davis played Baby Jane. Baby Jane Hudson was her name. And she goes into these stores like as an adult and she's like, "Do you remember me, Baby Jane Hudson?" And the guys at the counter is like, "No." Like, "You're like 60 years old now." "No, I don't remember Baby Jane Hudson." And she'll start tapping and singing the song she sang as a kid. Like, she's nuts. And they're both crazy, and it's perfect. It's the perfect amount of crazy and the perfect amount of diva.
Good pick.
So you've got to watch it. So yeah, that's one. It should come as no surprise.
That'd be good. It'd be great to add another Betty Davis film to the Criterion collection.
Yeah, and like I said, I think Mildred Pierce is the only one that Joan.
Yeah.
I think that's the only one she has. But she did a lot of like weird things. Like towards the end of her career, she did a lot of like B horror movies, and I think her last movie was a movie called Trog, which is just, I think it gets like a 5.
Oh, wow.
On IMDb, but it was her last movie, and she was, I think, just grasping at strings by that point. But to see an interview and see Betty Davis just called Joan dumb and stupid is just, Come on.
That'd be pretty crazy special features.
Yeah, because they really
good.
can't. They could stand each other.
That'd be really good. That's a great pick.
Yeah, you got to watch it. We could do a whole video on it.
There you go. We will do that.
You know what it is? I didn't want to give too much away for anyone who hasn't seen it, and also for you.
Okay.
Because I want you to have like just a blank slate when you go into it.
I'm going to watch it. I'm going to watch it in the next 4 days because I have unlimited movie time and space. I will do it. It's on.
And no Doritos. And I have
I'll
Cheetos.
Be sitting there with a bag of spinach.
I have Cheetos. So. Okay. But you know what? I have Body by Cheetos. You have Body by Spinach. You're winning the race.
I do not currently, but I would love to one day.
So now I have a feeling that I know what your fifth pick is. I hope I'm right.
I think you are.
And I didn't pick it because I thought you would pick it.
Well, I'm going to, similar to the other one, because I think this might be dismissed by mentioning it. So I'm going to statistically go through it and then reveal the title.
You're going to justify your pick.
I'm justifying
I love you like that.
So if Rotten Tomatoes matters, 91%. On the AFI, American Film Institute, Greatest American Films, it's number 78.
Yeah.
Selected by the Library of Congress for preservation in the United States Film Registry for being culturally, historically, and aesthetically significant. Nominated for 10 Academy Awards, won 3, including Best Picture.
Wow.
Its box office it cost $960,000 to make. And it brought in $225 million. But if you adjust that to inflation, the film cost $4.8 million to make and made over $1 billion.
Wow.
If you adjust it. And 1976, Rocky. So
where's your robe?
It's actually over there in a box.
You should put the robe on and have you should have had the robe on and snap the hood up when you said it.
I should have done that. But I might have said that. If it comes to 4K or if it comes on a Criterion,
you're going in.
Absolutely.
We're getting a video.
I did promise you that. And the other day when I saw an image for the 4K, I was like, oh gosh, I did make a promise to Stephanie and I will fulfill that promise. I might go to a different town to do it.
Yeah.
But I'll still do it. So anyway, 1976, it is, I think, globally recognized as maybe the greatest sports. I know Raging Bull, I think on the actual real list, is nominated as the greatest sports film. But this, I think, is one of the most inspirational films globally. People still flock to Philly to run those stairs, to stand with the statue.
Yep.
I have gone to Philly to run the stairs, stand by the statue.
Yep.
I think because you still have Stallone alive, you still have a lot of the cast members. You still got Paulie, Adrian.
Yep.
You could have unbelievable special features. And the one that I specifically would want to see is almost a mini documentary on Stallone, because this film should never have happened. It should never have starred Stallone. He was on the verge of being homeless. He wrote it in a matter of days. This is a miracle film to have happened. And then it spawned all of these other films, and it continues with Creed. It's unbelievable. And all the statistics I said, I think it easily justifies this being into the Criterion collection.
I agree.
It's culturally important and just, I think, a miracle of film that had happened. And the fact that he stood by his guns and wouldn't let another major actor take that role.
Yeah, didn't they want De Niro?
They wanted De Niro. I think James Caan actually was one of the ones being mentioned. Yep. He was at the bottom of the barrel. No one wanted him. And he stuck to his guns, and he made one of the most legendary film franchises of all time.
So him writing it is almost like the movie. He is Rocky, both in his writing and in the film.
Absolutely.
The underdog.
Boxing is a part of the film, but boxing is not what the film is about.
Exactly.
And you, even into the Balboa and the Creed films, it is solid material. Rocky V, I won't stand beside. I love it because I love Rocky.
Yep.
But it's a trash film. Even Stallone says he regrets making it.
Yep.
But the character, the arc, Paulie, if it's Stallone, then Paulie for me. I love Paulie because he's just a train wreck.
Yep.
But you go to Rocky Balboa and you start to see some healing in him. You start to see him acknowledging the damage and hurt he's done, and him seeking forgiveness, him seeking, So it's amazing. I love it. I think it well deserves to be in the collection. If Armageddon is in the collection,
come on, If half the stuff that's in the collection is in the collection. I mean, if you want to talk sports film, they put Bull Durham in there.
Yeah, Rocky should be there.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
come on. And you know, I would love, you talk about special features. I would love to see just someone sit down with Stallone and say, take us back to that day when you decided, I'm going to sit down and for the next whatever 11 days or whatever it was, where were you? What did you do? Take us through it with you. What were you thinking? What was your backup plan? Or was there not a backup? Like, was there no option of failure? Like, because I know he was very destitute when he wrote that. He was at the end of his road. He had no money.
He sold his dog.
Yeah.
Like he
everything.
had nothing.
Yeah. He did some questionable films.
I have heard of that. I've not seen those films.
I have not seen them. I've seen stills, but
okay.
I mean, he was really desperate. And you know, I would love to see that as a special feature. Just like take us back. Where were you at? And like how was this something that you just sat down and banged out? And I mean, it's a miracle. It's amazing. And definitely.
I think it's all of what you're saying before he passes. Hopefully he's around for a very, very long time.
Yeah.
But all that you're saying is so valuable for aspiring filmmakers.
Yes.
They should have that information.
Yes.
They should have that documentary to watch. So I agree with you. I think he needs to be in it. And that would be a phenomenal special feature that would be just invaluable to filmmakers.
Well, even like Greta Gerwig, who's one of my favorite, she is one of my favorite female working directors. Her, Jane Campion, Kelly Reichardt, they're all up there. But Greta Gerwig is like, I just love her. And one of the things that she said is, she said, never give up if you want something, because she has no formal training in writing or directing film. And she's now a director. And she said, because people today have something that none of us had. And she's like, you have this. You have this phone in your hand. And you can make a movie. Pick up the phone, make a movie, put it up on YouTube. She's like, you have opportunities that we didn't have 10 years ago, 15 years ago. And she's like, you can make a great short. You can make a great movie. And to have someone like Stallone, who's been in the business for so long, walk us through that process, it would be invaluable, like you said, and for aspiring filmmakers or even people who are interested in film history. I mean, amazing. It would be a gift.
So inspiring.
Yeah, definitely. I'm with you on that one.
There it is. That's my 5.
I was waiting for it. I was like, snap of the hood. I want that hood snapped up.
I could have had the Funko Pop over here, but it's all there. So
I have the Funko Pop in your honor. Now I picked this one, and I held it till last because I wasn't sure if you were going to choose it as well.
Okay.
So that's why I have a couple backups and I have all kinds of things, and I have a little thing here. But you know, it's a film that both you and I love. We both talked about it, and we did our video on it, films we love. And it is from Alexander Payne, and it is Nebraska.
Perfect.
I think it would be a wonderful fit for the collection. And Alexander Payne also has, I mean, come on, he's got Election with Reese Witherspoon and Matthew Broderick. Not that this is a bad film, but it's not this.
Right.
You know, if this can come in, this needs to be in.
Absolutely.
And you know, we went round and round about Nebraska. If anyone wants to hear our thoughts, I'm going to link up here somewhere. I'm going to link John and I the talk that we had about Nebraska and why we love it so much. But from the cast to the cinematography to the story, just the way everything unfolds, and it's a story about family and aging and coming to terms with things, life on life's terms, if you will. And it's just a beautifully done, amazing movie that both John and I loved so much. And for so many reasons, like I said, go back and watch our video because we went on and on for an hour about it. And I don't want to do that again because we're running over an hour now. But like I said, when I saw, I'm like, you know, he has Election. So this really needs to be in here. And if you guys have not seen Nebraska, please go see it, pick it up, rent it, stream it, whatever, because it is a fantastic film. And I think that even now that they're dipping their toes in, I mean, this Blu-ray looks phenomenal. But if they even wanted to go with a 4K,
Yeah.
this would be a gorgeous 4K, a black and
Absolutely.
white 4K.
Yeah.
It'd be beautiful. So my final pick has to be Nebraska. And I mean, there's so many people that could give commentary that would
Yeah.
just, I mean, they could fill up a whole nother disc with
Mhm.
special features on this one. And I'd love to hear about the filming, the style choices. And he has other films. The Descendants is also really good. Did you see that with George Clooney?
No.
That's a really good film. It's a really good, another family film. And also Sideways with Paul Giamatti. Both really good films. And I highly recommend all of them, but this one for the collection for
It's a
the
great
win.
pick.
Yeah, it has to be in there. It
Mhm.
needs to happen. So, do you have
That's
anything
good.
else to add before we let everyone go?
No, I am curious. You mentioned about other people writing what they think. I'm curious what other people think
Yeah, let us know in
should
the
be.
comments. What you thought of if you any of our picks, if you like them, or anything that we you would have liked to hear us talk about, or you'd like to see in the collection. Because also, if you don't know, if you're not familiar with the Criterion site, you can go on the Criterion site and you can recommend films, and people can actually, cast a vote and support your pick. So if you have a film that you'd like to see in the Criterion collection, head over to their site. I'll put a link down below to the Criterion, and you can go and add your film, film that you would want to see. And, who knows? You never know.
I didn't know that too. You mentioned that to me a few months
Yeah.
ago.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Did you
it's a
put
great
Rocky on
feature.
there?
Absolutely.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. But no, really, yeah, if you guys we'd be curious to hear what you guys think in the comments. And I want to thank you, John, as always, for coming on, for
Thank
being
you.
my friend and supporting me, even when I'm a nightmare pain in the neck when you're at work. And I send you videos of penguins riding in wheelchairs, but it's all in good fun. And I
Absolutely.
so appreciate you. I appreciate your channel, your content, everything you bring to this community, your positivity, and you're taking in, you just surround yourself with good, and we need more of that in the world. So I just appreciate you for who you are and for being my friend. So thank you. And
Well, thank you. I told a friend of mine at work today. I was telling him, "Oh, I got to be back in the office to do a stream with a friend on movies." And like, "Oh yeah, who's that?" If he's thinking he might know who it was, I
yeah,
said, "No, no, no. I met her. We're talking movies." I said, "And we talk every day, and sometimes it's about movies. We mostly just became good friends." So
yeah, yeah. We talk about movies, and then we get on here, we ramble. So it's good.
yeah, there you go.
It's good. We're gonna go to your
So
channel
no,
and ramble next.
yes, we are. So no, I
Yes.
appreciate it. Thanks, Stephanie. I appreciate your friendship very much. And so to do these with you is a ton of fun. I've been really looking forward to doing this.
Yeah.
So thanks so much, and I do very much appreciate you.
And you guys don't think this is the last you're going to see of John, because I told him a long time ago, once I got him, I wasn't going to let him get away. So we're going to come up with
We'll do
something,
more.
or maybe we'll do another films we love, or films everyone should
Yeah,
see. We're going to do
absolutely.
something over on John's channel, and we're going to bring him back here because he's just a pleasure to chat with. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this. I appreciate you guys hanging out with us. If you did enjoy this, remember to give a thumbs up. Leave us some comments, recommendations, suggestions. If you want to see videos once every 6 months, you can subscribe to my channel. And maybe I'll actually post more. You never know. But
Uh,
I'm gonna let John go because he's got a bag of Doritos, a bag of spinach, and a movie to
yeah.
watch. And for now, that's a wrap.